What is up, everybody? Welcome to the MMA Engine and welcome to the main event deep dive for UFC Vegas 52. We have Amanda Lemos going against Jessica Andrade. I'm here as always with Wheezy. Wheezy, we're a day late. We're kind of a day off schedule here, but looking forward to breaking down this main event here.
Yeah, me too, man. We were just kind of talking about this card before we went live here. And I mean, this card is fantastic, dude. Just from a gambler fighting perspective here, there's a lot of bettable fights here. There's some shit shows as well, but like there's going to be some good laughs on this card. There's going to be some good stoppages, some really good finishers. It's got a little bit of everything. And we got a pay-per-view coming up next week too. So it's kind of like after last week's meh card, and then this week where it looks like the name value isn't quite there, it looks like we're kind of like pushing back up into pay-per-view range here, and I think that we're going to see a good one here. And I think we got a really nice stylistic main event here in the women's strawweight division. Lemos Andrade, great fight to talk about, so I'm looking forward to breaking it down.
Yeah, I was telling you, like, this is my favorite card of the year. I'm a huge fan of violence, and we just got added the Romanov versus Chase Sherman. I saw that fight. I started laughing. Like, I thought it was a joke. Like, Chase Sherman back in the UFC. Did you hear they're giving him 4 fights as well? Chase Sherman, 4
Yeah,
fights.
dude, like if I was that dude's manager, it's exactly what I'd be like. I'd be like, sure, we'll take that Romanov ass shaving, but you're going to have to make it worth our while because nobody's stepping up to take that fight. And then if you want to get Romanov another fight, now you got to make the guy wait like another 3 months, for somebody else to get a full camp. I mean, nobody's really raising their hand to take that fight on short notice. If Jared Vandera hadn't fought last weekend and got his ass shaved by Olynyk, he'd probably be the guy, that would step up to take this fight, even though he's already fought Romanov. And I mean, even he's not ready. Even the walking concussion was like, don't pick up that call. So, yeah, man, we got some good ones here, and it's a good main event. So I can't wait to break it down with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, people are crapping on this card, but I'm loving every second of this card. I cannot wait for it, and I cannot wait for the main event as well. Before we get started, as always, if you guys can please leave a like on the video, subscribe here to the MMA Engine. Let's keep growing the channel. Check us out Thursday for Probability, where me and Uncle Weezy are going to take a look into the over-unders, the fight goes and fight doesn't go, all the good stuff. Cannot wait for that, especially on a card like this that does have a ton of violence on paper. Let's shout out the chat, and then we'll get started. Philip, first one in the chat. What is up, Philip? We got Paul hanging out as always. We got Taking Your Top Knot hanging out as well. Mushroom, good to see you, Mushroom. We got Keegan in the chat as well. We got Cole hanging out. Jeffrey, I say we get right into it, and we will start as always, guys, with the tail of the tape. So we have Amanda Lemos, Jessica Andrade. We have Lemos, who is 34 years old, 5'4", with a 65-inch reach. Andrade, 30 years old, 5'1", 62-inch reach. Andrade is actually going to be younger by 4 years, but it's going to be Lemos who's going to have a 3-inch height advantage and a 3-inch reach advantage as well. Andrade is going to be the smaller fighter pretty much against anybody she does fight. Lemos, she is 5-0 in her last 5 fights. She started off her UFC career with a loss to Leslie Smith at 135, and since then she has bounced back and looked, really good against Miranda Granger with a submission win, decision win against Mizuki Inoue, a knockout win against Liviana Souza, a knockout win against Montserrat Ruiz, and then a split decision win against Angela Hill. As far as Jessica Andrade, she is 2-3 in her last 5 fights. Knockout loss against Zhang Wei Li, a decision loss against Rose Namajunas, a knockout win against Caitlin Chukagian, a knockout loss to Valentina Shevchenko, and then a knockout win against Cynthia Calvillo. It's going to be Lemos who's taking a massive, massive step up in competition here, going from fighters like Mizuki Inoue, Miranda Granger, Liviana Souza, Montserrat Ruiz, Angela Hill. And it's going to be Jessica Andrade, who has fought some very good competition throughout her career. And I'm sure we're going to talk about that, Wheezy. But right off the bat, is anything sticking out to you in terms of the tail of the tape?
Not too much, because like Jessica Andrade started her career in the UFC at 135 pounds. So, we talk a lot about how Andrade is going to be the smaller fighter here. But, I mean, has she ever been the bigger fighter? In her entire career? I mean, not once. I mean, maybe if she fought Tisha Torres, has she fought Tisha Torres? Because like that's like the only person in this entire promotion that she's bigger than, So, we can always be used to having Andrade be the smaller fighter in there. I mean, Christ, she was fighting at 135. So, she's had to kind of craft a style that works well for her body frame. And that's walking forward. That's, eating one to give one. and being relentless and being strong and being able to pick up your opponents and slam them down on the mat and have a good top control game. So yeah, I mean, nothing really does stick out here because, I mean, Andrade is younger though. That is the one thing that actually does stick out
Yeah.
because Lemos being a southpaw, Lemos having a 3-inch reach advantage, that's obviously something that you like to see, when we're talking about somebody as small as Andrade, you're expecting to see that reach advantage, and we know that Lemos is good at distance, but Andrade is going to be doing what she always does, marching forward because she's the smaller fighter, trying to stay in her opponent's face.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, that stuck out to me as well. You have Andrade, who has 31 professional fights, and then Lemos, who has 13 professional fights, and it's actually Andrade, who is 4 years younger. It's Andrade, who's been in the UFC for 20 fights, compared to Lemos only being in the UFC for 6 fights, and it's Andrade, who has been fighting much longer. So yeah, I do like that for Andrade, but it is going to be Lemos who is going to be the bigger fighter. But like we said, and by the way, Andrade has not fought Tisha Torres yet. If she did fight Torres, it would be very comparable there, but she hasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, she'll be used to being the smaller fighter here, but, she's going to be much more experienced. Like you mentioned, 18 more professional fights, over 200 more minutes in the pro cage, about 3 more years as a pro. And then we look at the activity level in just under 11 years, 31 professional fights for Jessica Andrade. So she's been very active for a very long time here, while Amanda Lemos, is fighting less than twice a year, just under twice a year, but 13 professional fights in just under 8 years for Lemos. And then we see that about 150 more minutes in the UFC cage for Jessica Andrade. And, when we talk about Lemos being the bigger woman here, but Christ, she was just fighting Caitlin Chukagian, who's like 5'8", 5'9", she's fought much bigger ladies and folded them in half. So I don't really see the size being too much of a difference here because Andrade's style is going to hopefully make up for that. But what we got here is a serious, experience advantage for Jessica Andrade. And they're both great finishers. 82% finish rate on the aggregate for Lemos. And we got a 73% finish rate on the aggregate for Jessica Andrade. And in their 10 combined losses, we have 7 of them being inside the distance here. So these are 2 fairly killed fighters for a division that finishes only 30% of the time. Both of these ladies are finishing at a rate far higher than that here as strawweights. So yeah, this is an interesting one, but it's definitely going to be Lemos with the size advantage and definitely Andrade with the experience advantage when it comes to finishing fights. They're both doing it, and they're both doing it very well.
Yeah, we talked about it last night. Like, we don't typically see fighters who are a 115 pounds that hit this hard. And we'll definitely get into the violence props later, but I love this fight to end inside the distance because, Jessica Andrade, she's going to come forward the entire time. She's going to, throw very, very hard shots. And Lemos hits very, very hard as well. So I think somebody's going to sleep here. I do think this fight primarily stays standing, but if there is takedowns, it's going to be coming from the Jessica Andrade side. I'd be shocked if Lemos even tried to take takedowns or try to attempt takedowns here. If there will be takedowns, it will be from the Andrade side. But getting into the striking stats, because I do think that's where it primarily plays out. Is anything sticking out to you there?
Well, we got both of these ladies, putting up some really nice numbers here. But what sticks out, if there's one number that sticks out for both of these ladies, it's those power numbers for Lemos. She's landed 245 strikes, but she has 5 knockdowns in the UFC, which means that about once every 49 strikes that she lands, she's landing a knockdown. And that's sick power. There's only one other lady with more than 2%, or 2 others that with more than 2% knockdown percentage in the strawweight division. And that's Luana Pinheiro, who has 2 fights, and Silvana Gomez Juarez, who has 2 fights. Lemos has got 5 of them in the strawweight division alone. So she's very, very powerful. Andrade lands about 1 more significant strike than she absorbs per minute. And it's almost the same for Lemos, about 0.7 more for her. Andrade out-volumes her opponents. Lemos is right on par with her opponents in terms of amount of volume thrown. Andrade a little more responsible defensively. Andrade has been knocked down, it would look like 3 times in 20 UFC fights. So, I mean, 0.23 knockdowns allowed per 15 minutes. She can absolutely be knocked down. It's just that it doesn't happen very often. And she's been fighting 135 pounders and 125 pounders. But Lemos has basically got 135-pound power for a woman. So this is something that we're going to have to really watch out for, is that Amanda Lemos, while this fight is at distance in the center of the cage, is going to be the far more dangerous striker. But let me just say one other thing, though. We've seen Lemos deal with pressure from a couple of different fighters, right? The first time that we saw her deal with it was against Mizuki Inoue, and that fight went 3 rounds. And Inoue stayed in her face, won a lot of minutes on the cage, actually, but, lost the striking exchanges while they were at distance. We didn't see Lemos handle it well. Then a couple fights later against Montserrat Ruiz, Ruiz was marching forward, and Lemos had no problem whatsoever dealing with the pressure. She was a sniper. Everything was coming straight down the middle, and it was landing, and that fight lasted, 40 seconds, if that? So I think that she's going to be dealing with constant pressure from Andrade here in the striking, Brady, but it looks like she's made some improvements in dealing with that pressure. And I mean, she's obviously going to be drilling that for this particular fight, because that's how Jessica Andrade fights.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, Lemos is going to have some opportunities. But yeah, you bring up the Mizuki Inoue fight that was back in 2020, and not the best look in the world. Mizuki Inoue was able to control Lemos for almost 7 minutes of that fight. She wasn't really able to take her down. She didn't really try to take her down. She kind of just held her against the cage for half the fight there. She was officially 0 for 1 on those takedowns, and yeah, that was not the best look, because I feel like Andrade can definitely do the same thing. But even on top of that, take down Amanda Lemos, getting into the takedown numbers a little bit. Andrade shoots a lot of takedowns, 68 takedowns attempted. You got to feel like that should be a path to victory here, at least early on. If I was Andrade, I would know that, Lemos is very dangerous early. What I'm going to do, I'm going to push her against the cage like Mizuki Inoue. I'm going to take her down. I'm going to make her work, and I'm going to get this fight extended a little bit. So do you agree? Do you think Andrade comes in here, tries to stand and bang in the first 30 seconds with Lemos, or do you think she tries to, hold her against the cage and try to take her down? I think if I was Andrade, I would definitely try to take her down early on.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what we're going to see her do here. Fill up Lemos's arms with blood, get that fight on the cage, make it a grueling first round. Get out of that first round when Lemos is, I mean, a lot of people have been saying Lemos has 1 round power and that's it. That's not entirely true. When you watch the Mizuki fight, when you watch the Angela Hill fight, she's throwing power shots in round 2 and round 3. And when I went back and I watched both of those fights, she wasn't as tired as I remember her being when I originally watched them, because I was looking, for her to gas out. I don't think her conditioning is as much of a problem as it was when she first came into the UFC, took a 135-pound fight on short notice against Leslie Smith. I think that we're seeing the conditioning kind of come around here for Lemos now. But, Andrade doesn't push a crazy wrestling pace, but when she's going for the wrestling, she's getting it. She's getting these takedowns at almost 56%, Brady. And, and this is at 115, 125, and 135, so we've got some really good wrestling numbers here. And I think that, we are going to see Andrade try to push that pace initially, because when Amanda Lemos is fresh and she's in space and you let her manage distance and get her attacks off, all it takes is one. She's got that kind of power. So I don't think it would be smart at all for Jessica Andrade not to push the grappling, not to push the clinch exchanges right off the bat. Try to use that strength advantage that she has, the fact that she's fought bigger women in the past, to take Lemos out of what she does best here.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane how strong Jessica Andrade is. Like, she's going out there. And by the way, Jessica Andrade, she has actually fought Tisha Torres. Forgot about that. Was the fight where Andrade did take down Torres 10 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 10 times. So she took down Torres 10 times. There's a fight against Claudia, I think, back in the day where she took her down a lot as well. Yeah, she took Claudia down 4 times as well. So she can go out there and attempt a ton of takedowns. But yeah, back to what you said about Lemos and her cardio. Like if you go and watch her first fight against Leslie Smith, I went back and watched the fight the other day, and you know, Amanda Lemos was looking up at the clock with like 4 minutes left in the second round. I was like, what's going on? And then she took 2 years off. She comes back at 115. And like you said, she looks good. Like against Mizuki Inoue, she didn't look horrible in the second or third round.
Mhm.
In the Angela Hill fight, she kind of took off the second round. It looked like she didn't do much in that second round. I think she only attempted 28 strikes attempted, 11 landed. And then it looked like she kind of turned it on a little bit in that third round, but she wasn't like completely gassed like the Leslie Smith fight. The Leslie Smith fight was crazy. She didn't have anything left once that fight hit the second round there. But yeah, I think the cardio has improved, and her cardio is for this fight, but that's easier said than done, especially with the style of Lemos. She puts everything into all her shots.
She sure does. But even over the 6 fight sample size for Lemos, we see something that's just a little bit concerning here, right? 28% control time allowed, 19% control time for. So that's, 47% of her fights are taking place in control time positions. You'd like to see Lemos in the center of that cage 85% of the time. That's really where she's at her best. We did see her take down Sosa and have some success on the ground there, and definitely in the Granger fight as well. So she can get some wrestling of her own. She can get some top control of her own. And like Jessica Andrade, she's getting her takedowns at a better than 50% clip. So she's able to mix in the grappling as well here. I think a lot of people think that the grappling exchanges are going to be all Andrade, and it's not necessarily the case. I mean, we did see Valentina Shevchenko go out there, in a fight against Jessica Andrade where everybody was saying, well, Andrade is going to have to get this to the ground. And then what does Shevchenko do? Goes out there, takes her down 5 times in the first round, and I think once or twice in the second, and then just finishes it. So, we could see Lemos have some success here in the grappling. She's strong. She's got good Brazilian jiu-jitsu as well. It's just that, Andrade has kind of got that. She's built like a fire hydrant. She can get low. She can pick you up, and drop you on your head. Bate estaca in Portuguese means pile driver, and it is a very apropos nickname for this lady. So it's going to be really interesting because I think Andrade is going to be just a little bit better in the striking exchanges than people expect her to be, and I expect that Lemos will be a little bit better in the grappling exchanges than people expect her to be as well. I think this fight at the end of the day, it's a little bit closer than people think, and we'll talk about the strength of schedule next, but that Angela Hill performance for Amanda Lemos was pretty impressive against a girl in Hill who's fought everybody in the division, who's notoriously durable. And we got to see that 3-round conditioning, kind of on display there for Lemos, and it looked pretty good.
Yeah, but that was a close fight. I mean, it was impressive that she won and she kind of battled through some adversity, but she was a minus 265 favorite in that fight. I thought it played out very close. How'd you score the fight, by the way? I had it round 1, I had it clear Lemos. Round 2 was a clear Hill, and then round 3 was like up in the air. Really could have went either way. Remember Hill landed that shot late in the third that it looked like it dropped her in real time, but when you slow it down, she kind of slipped. So kind of a third round that went either way. How'd you score that fight?
I actually did score it for Lemos. I thought it was really close, but I thought Lemos won that third round. I had a bet on Hill to win in round 3 at plus 4,500. And man, when she landed that spinning elbow and Lemos went down, I almost lost it. But I did score it for Lemos. But the thing about Angela Hill is she's got a lot of losses on her record. But you look at some of these losses, the losses to Lemos, to Gadelia, to Michelle Watterson. You can make arguments that she won all of those fights. She's ranked kind of at the bottom end of the top 15 for the strawweight division, but you can't get into that top 5 without having a good win against Angela Hill on your resume. And I think that Angela Hill is like one of the best gatekeepers for that top 5, even though she's not particularly near it, because if you can get past her, it shows that, you know, you've got what it takes to challenge for the title here. So I was really impressed with the Lemos performance against Hill. I think it's a bigger step up than people think it is. And I think that, you know, this fight against Andrade is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get into this level of competition. I'm very curious to see some of these numbers because, as we know, we talked about the competition of Lemos a little bit, and then we know that Andrade has fought, you know, pretty much anybody. If you say a random name and random MMA fighter that is a woman, Andrade probably fought her, right?
Absolutely. I mean, 20 fights. So I think that's the most out of anybody not named Angela Hill, as a matter of fact.
Wow.
I think Angela Hill has got about 20 fights in the UFC. So, yeah, she's definitely the most experienced. But when we look at the ratio here, at the total fights, you see Amanda Lemos's ratio is 1.06, Andrade 1.55. And Amanda is fighting about half as experienced the competition as Andrade is. So the average record of an Andrade opponent, 6.35 wins, 4.1 losses. The average opponent for Lemos, 2.83 wins and 2.67 losses. And the wins, you know, 1.44 ratio for Andrade to 1.08. And then once again, almost twice as experienced the competition as well. And then the losses, you know, obviously better as well. So Andrade has fought, beaten, and lost to the better and more experienced brand of UFC competition. And I mean, you know, when we go to the advanced stats and then you just look at the names that are beating Jessica Andrade, she has losses at 135 to Liz Carmouche and Marion Renault and Raquel Pennington. But outside of the 135-pound division, she's losing to Joanna Jędrzejczyk, champion, Zhang Wei Li, champion, Rose Namajunas, champion, and Valentina Shevchenko, flyweight champion. So at 115 and 125, you're not beating Jessica Andrade unless you've had gold around your waist at some point. Do you think that Amanda Lemos is going to be wearing gold in this division?
I really don't, man. I just don't. I can't see Lemos, you know, being like a Shevchenko, you know, being a Rose Namajunas, being a Zhang Wei Li. I just can't see her being that type of fighter. And like you said, like she's 34 years old, right? She's not a young fighter by any means. She's 34. When's her birthday's in May 22nd. So
Yeah, she's almost 35.
yeah, like that's old, man. That's kind of old for the division, 115, right? So yeah, I really don't, to be honest.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, it's hard when you're betting on 34-year-olds in these low weight classes. Your results are oftentimes, shout out F Carrillo, gonna be terrible, and you know, it's one of those things. You know, you have to be very careful when you're betting on the older fighter, and that older fighter is much less experienced and has fought the much, you know, lower brand of competition than Andrade has. You know, that's why Andrade is the favorite here. You know, I don't necessarily think it's a reflection of the individual skills of each fighter. I think that when you see something like this and you see you're going to be tested by somebody like Jessica Andrade and you're trying to move your way up that ladder, you're going to eventually come to that person that's not wearing gold, but has worn it in the past and has only lost to ladies who eventually wind up getting that gold around their waist, you know, and, you know, the only losses to women that didn't hold the strap were at 135 pounds, and they happened so long ago. I mean, this was, you know, the loss to Marion Renault was 2015. The loss to Carmouche was 2013. It's almost 10 years ago, you know? So yeah, that's why Andrade is the favorite here. It's not because Lemos can't handle her everywhere, you know, because I think Lemos can. I think she can stop the takedowns. I think she's by far the better and more dangerous boxer. I think she's faster, you know. She's not stronger. She's probably not going to have the better brand of conditioning here, and she hasn't fought the better brand of competition. But this is, you know, skill for skill. These ladies are on par with each other.
At least early on, I'd say, for sure. And, you know, Lemos is going to have opportunities. Andrade, pretty hittable, 53% striking defense, but, you know, Lemos, 48% striking defense. Let's bring up these odds, and then we'll talk to the chat. We'll talk through some of the props as well, see if we can find anything. But we have Andrade, who did open up minus 200. She went to minus 170, back down to minus 185. And we have Amanda Lemos opened up plus 170. She is currently at plus 160. What are your thoughts on the line there?
Yeah, I get it. I get it where it's at. I think that if Lemos wins this fight, it's hard to see her winning it by decision, but it could happen. I do see Andrade giving her problems by pressuring, and it's just going to be, how does Lemos deal with somebody in Andrade who's always been a pressure fighter. She's always had that game plan. Ever since day one, she's been the shorter fighter, the stronger fighter, the fighter that's had a reach disadvantage. So she's had to walk forward. She's had to rely on her chin up these weight classes. So I think that she's seen a lot of fights like this, but I don't think that she's seen this pinpoint power and precision that we're going to see out of Lemos here. So I think if you're on that Lemos side, man, is she live at plus 160? And, Lemos by first round knockout, what is that? Because Lemos round one is plus 800.
Plus 1,000.
Yeah, see, Lemos first round knockout plus 1,000. That's very, because that's when she's at her most dangerous. And I'm telling you, when you go back and you watch that Montserrat Ruiz fight, and I know that Ruiz isn't on Andrade's level, but it's a similar style to what she's going to see this Saturday. And look at the precision while she's moving backwards and dealing with the pressure of Ruiz. Look at the power that are in those strikes and the precision. She didn't miss with anything in that fight. It was crazy.
Yeah, she made Ruiz fly across the cage with that punch. It was awesome there. But yeah, we'll take a look at some of the props here. Yeah, I think the money line's about right. Like, I feel like Andrade, most definitely should be the favorite with the cardio, with the wrestling. Most importantly with the experience, the younger fighter as well. But Lemos is going to have opportunities early. But we do see the over under is set at on a couple books 2.5, a couple books 3.5. We'll say the over 2.5 rounds minus 150, the under 2.5 rounds plus 120, over 3.5 rounds plus 120, under 3.5 rounds plus 150. The fight goes to decision plus 160. The fight doesn't go to decision is minus 200. We'll start there. Anything sticking out to you? I did play the fight doesn't go at minus 185 earlier in the week.
Yeah, I mean, I do like that 5-round fight. You've got two women who in the UFC are absolute finishers, and in the UFC are getting finished in their losses. Now, I mean, how much does a Leslie Smith finish mean at 135 for Lemos? Probably not as much, and Andrade was finished at 135 a couple of times as well. So that, worries me just a little bit in terms of will this fight go or not? But I do think that this is the two type of fighters, Lemos and Andrade, both have so much power for these divisions that you've got to like the fight doesn't go for this one, even though you're paying up way bigger than what the divisional finish rate is. Yeah. I would have to actually look in my 5-round fight database and see how often these women's 5-round fights finish inside the distance. I don't have that information right in front of me.
Yeah, for sure. I just think, both of these fighters are very good finishers and they hit very, very hard. And somebody in the chat said it earlier, like, I think Lemos early, Andrade could be early as well, or mid-fight, late fight. I think somebody does get finished, though. I'll take a look at some more props. And then everybody in the chat, let me know what you like in this fight. I know PayPal is all over Amanda Lemos this week. Let me know what you like in the fight, PayPal. Lemos inside the distance is plus 225. Andrade inside the distance plus 140. Lemos by decision plus 475. Andrade by decision plus 250. Andrade by KO plus 225. Lemos by KO plus 400. And other than that, Andrade sub plus 400. And then Lemos sub plus 1200. Andrade round 1 plus 500. Lemos round 1 plus 700. I see Lemos round 1 is plus 800 on DraftKings. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is, man. Plus 800. I mean, that's probably her best win condition here, but I don't want to go out and say that because, she does carry her power later in fights and people think she does. She's so dangerous. But it's just that I think a lot of times later in fights, if you've survived through that first round with Amanda Lemos, it means that you are pressuring her. You are spending time on that cage, or you are just ridiculously durable like Angela Hill is, because boy, those front kicks that Lemos was throwing in the Hill fight, I mean, you got to be careful, man. You could get your head punted into the third row. She throws those with absolute, bad intentions here. Lemos by KO, that could be interesting.
Yeah, plus 400.
Yeah, plus 400 ain't a bad look there. The submission not as likely, but she could get them. She got that no hooks rear naked choke on Miranda Granger, put her out, put her to sleep. So she's got a squeeze on her too. So I think if I was on Lemos, I would probably not get greedy and go with the inside the distance at plus 250 on DraftKings right now as the way to bet it. But for Andrade, I think you kind of have to just sit on that money line, because I think she can win minutes and I think she can win inside the distance.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch the KO or sub. I think both fighters can both KO and sub one another. Let's take a look at these props. Somebody in the chat said it earlier. I really like the Andrade, like 3, 4, 5 sprinkles, and BetOnline did not do a great job at those, but DraftKings actually did. So on BetOnline, they have Andrade to win in round 3 plus 900. DraftKings is plus 1100. Andrade to win in round 4. BetOnline has a plus 1100, but it's DraftKings that has plus 1800. And then Andrade to win in round 5. BetOnline has 1400, and then Andrade has plus 2500. So really do like those on DraftKings. I'm curious to see what FanDuel has them at. It's Tuesday, and FanDuel still doesn't have the props out for the main event.
Yeah, they have been absolutely slacking lately. For shame, FanDuel. You guys got to get on it over there. Otherwise, these other books are going to eat you for lunch, man. But yeah, this is kind of stupid, waiting for, it's Tuesday and we don't have main event props out yet. That's really odd. But at least DraftKings and BetOnline have them out. Yeah, Andrade round 5 plus 2,500. Andrade round 4 plus 1,800. We've never seen Amanda Lemos in the championship rounds in her pro career. So those are, those might be worth a sprinkle here.
Yeah, for sure. Paul Pierce saying Andrade late 4th round TKO. Lou saying Lemos by disqualification.
Wow, I wonder how that would happen. Legal knee, something like that.
Maybe because Andrade has blue hair or something. Did you see the blue hair, by the way, Andrade?
No, I did not see that.
She has blue hair. It looks like a peacock on her head.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah. I'm going to have to check that out, because she already had she has a beautiful head of hair. She's got options, in terms of what she can do with that hair. But blue was something I was not anticipating.
Yeah, for sure. It was not great. I was not looking forward to that. Andrade's striking defense has been on the rise, though, by the looks of it. People saying Andrade has never finished late. Yeah, that's, I guess, the one thing. Andrade can definitely finish early. Take a look at some of her finishes. She has a first round finish, a second round finish, first round finish, first round finish, second round finish, first round finish, and first round finish. So the majority of Andrade's finishes are in the first round as well. Yeah,
both of these ladies finish early. So I think that's why this being a 5-round fight, we've seen Jessica Andrade go 5 rounds once in her career. And that was against Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who really wasn't finishing anybody not named Jessica Penne, So this was a situation where she's really not, her game plan isn't to go the full 5 here. She's been to 3-round decisions at 135 a couple of times. Once at 115 to Angela Hill. Like I say, nobody's finishing Angela Hill. And then once against Rose Namajunas. Other than that, first round, second round, first round, first round, second round, first round. And then so it is a lot of early finishes. She's not getting late finishes. Mbe's right.
Yeah, for sure. That's just another reason I like violence so much, because you'll see, what I noticed, in these 5-round fights, typically the fighters will come out with a game plan that they can, do over 5 rounds. They're going to start slow, right? I just don't see that with these two fighters. I don't see Andrade coming out here saying, I'm really going to conserve my energy for the first 3 rounds and then put it on her. That's not how Andrade fights. I think Andrade is going to go balls to the wall right away, like always.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much how it goes, because if you've never really been 5 rounds before, like Andrade has only been there once, maybe she's just going to say, you know what, I'm going to go out and fight this fight like I always do. I'm going
Yeah.
to be aggressive. I'm going to stay in her face and let the finish come when I hurt her. And, Andrade got those finishes late first round, 5 seconds left against Chukagian, 6 seconds left against Calvillo. It's not like she's just going out there like a Tasmanian devil and just destroying people in 10 seconds. She works her way into the fight, but she finds those power shots, whether it's to the body or the head. She figures out a way. And then when she hurts you, she swarms.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I like this fight. I like this card. It's awesome. I think it's a violent card. I know Mbe thinks this fight's going decision, but I think my favorite play on the fight is the fight doesn't go. I have 2.5 units on that, and I think I'm going to add on in some aspect of it, whether it is adding on to that fight doesn't go, maybe adding on with like the under 4.5, adding on with an Andrade inside the distance. I think I'm going to stay away from the prop sprinkles because I think Andrade can finish in any round. I think Lemos can finish as well. But I like violence one way or another. I think somebody does get finished here. So that's where I'm going to be looking at. Like I said, waiting for FanDuel. FanDuel needs to get these out. Hopefully by tonight because it's getting kind of crazy. Like usually on a Monday they'd have these out for the main event. It's weird.
Yeah, and even like main card, they'll have main card props usually out by now. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just kind of weird that they're waiting on this one of all the ones. This is one of the tamer ones to line, I would think, but maybe they're afraid of something, or maybe they're just slacking. I don't know, but this is a great fight, man. I think that I'm going to be picking Jessica Andrade to win, but I don't know if I'll be laying that kind of juice, minus 180, minus 190 to get her here. I do tend to agree that I think that somebody's going to get stopped here, but both of these ladies are fairly durable as well. So very interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think I'd rather just pay the extra. Well, Andrade on DraftKings is minus 190. I think I'd just bet the fight doesn't go at minus 190. Cover both sides. Cover both sides there. So that's what I like in that fight. I'm going to pick Andrade as well. I'm going to pick her to win inside the distance. I don't know. It could be any round. I'm not going to pick a round. But yeah, I do like Andrade. But yeah, Lemos, excited to see her in this fight. Her first 5-round fight. Big step of competition. And it should be a fun one. PayPal talking about Andrade cutting that extra 10 pounds for the first time. And it's been like 2 fights, right?
Yeah,
Or 3
last time
fights.
she made that cut was 2020, July 11th against Rose Namajunas, and
Yeah.
that went the full 3 rounds, and it went to a split decision.
Yeah. So maybe that could be something to look at as well. But I think she'll be fine. Like she's small. She's very small.
She is. She can make that weight. I mean, I can't believe she was fighting at 135, though. That's
Yeah.
nuts.
That is nuts. That's awesome. All right. So we went through it. We went through the tail of the tape, the experience, the finish stats, striking stats, grappling stats, strength of schedule. We talked about it from a betting perspective. Wheezy, you said your final pick is Andrade. What's your favorite bet on the fight? There's a lot of things that do stick out, but what would your favorite bet be on the entire fight?
Um, I would have to say the fight doesn't go to decision here. 5-round fight. I really do think that somebody at some point is going to land something that finishes this fight. Whether it's getting it to the ground where we get a submission ultimately, or just a plain old knockout. Both of these ladies hit so hard that I really do see this one finishing inside the distance. 7 of their combined 10 losses have been ITD. So yeah, let's go, man. Let's say fight doesn't go to decision. Let's say Jessica Andrade inside the distance, but I would bet the fight doesn't go before I'd pick a side here.
Yeah, and even like Andrade inside the distance is only like plus 140. Don't entirely love that. I'd rather just cover both sides because Lemos hits like a truck in her own right. But yeah, I think that's about it, guys. Thank you all so much for hanging out. If you guys can please leave a like, subscribe here to the MMA Engine. We'll be back. Weez, are you doing any balls deep on the channel this week or no?
Yeah, I'll be doing one on Wednesday night,
Wednesday?
probably 10 o'clock Central Time. I might even do it on both channels at the same time, here on the MMA Engine and on the Uncle Weezy channel. But yeah, I didn't do one last week, so I've got to give you guys one this week. It'll probably be Guida against Puelis, Venata against Jourdain, or Barbara against De La Rosa, or Muderji against Kopp. Those are the 4 fights that I would like to break down in further detail.
Sounds good. And you're going just a tip tonight as well, right?
Yep, just the tip. We're going to break down all 12 fights on this card from a statistical and tape study perspective. We're going to start at 10 o'clock Central Time like we always do on my channel. The link is already active. And Bootsy's ready to go tonight too. This is a big just the tip. This is a big card. We're looking to stack cash tickets like flapjacks. And it's going to start after this here, 10 o'clock Central Time on the Uncle Weezy YouTube channel.
Sounds good. I will be there. Yeah, guys, leave a like, subscribe, all the good stuff. We'll talk to you very soon. Good luck for UFC Vegas 52. Let us make some money. See you guys.